I'll do it after you're done. Uh, it's Aaron Halo 18 here, and I'm doing a video today called Halo 5 Guardians Discussion Series, episode 30, 33, I believe. And it's going to be about this article I found. Oh, and I give Halo an 9 out of 10 for the rating because of the customization loadout thing. They didn't have loadouts where you can customize your weapons and stuff. And like your primary and your secondary weapons. I don't know how to figure that part out. Zach was trying to figure it out. He even looked it up on his phone to try to figure it out, but couldn't figure it out. So we continued playing it anyway. And I played the first two missions of Halo 5 Guardians. And Zach beat the first level. And the second level for me. And he's going to come play level 3 when he comes over on Friday. Tomorrow, actually. And, I had a pretty good shower today, too. And, I have nice smelling cologne as well. And, I am a huge Halo fan. I'll be continuing doing these awesome videos for you to enjoy. And, I'll be reading this article called, this is from the ARS Tekshina, and the name of the article is called Halo 5 Guardians Review. Everyone's a hero. No one's a hero. The series' most uneven, confusing campaign yet is redeemed by serious online thrills. By Sam Rachovic, October 26, 2015, 2:01 a.m. PTD. You can share it on Twitter, Facebook, and it has 130 comments on this article. It's under opposable thumbs / gaming and entertainment. And they show a picture of Master Chief on a Forerunner planet with the Forerunner structure behind him. And below the picture says, Chief's not too happy about that crack in his visor. This photo was by 343 Industries. And the game details, developer 343 Industries, publisher Microsoft Studios, platform Xbox One, release date October 27, 2015, price $60, links official website. This week's Halo 5 is just like the other Halo games. There's really no escaping it. You call a game Halo, and you pretty much have to put players in the first-person perspective of armor-clad future soldiers to battle in both lengthy, plot-driven missions and vehicle-fueled online battles against friends. Both halves of the latest sequel's gameplay will feel instantly familiar to anybody who has used two joysticks to run and gun as a UNSC soldier in the past 14 years. This week's Halo 5 is a lot different than the other Halo games. However, Master Chief and friends have been given more new maneuvers here than in any other official sequel. The campaign mode has been built to support 4 players fighting cooperatively by default in ways that feel even more extreme than when Halo Reach tried the same trick. Both single player and multiplayer modes enjoy some serious boosts thanks to being the first Halo game on Xbox One. And the content you'll find in online versus modes has been split up into 2 distinct halves. One of those has been buffered by a weird card collecting system to boot, called a rec system. After beating the campaign and spending 4 days in the game's multiplayer preview period, we've come away ultimately liking the steps Halo 5 has taken to the ultimate sequel for every fan. It's just new enough, just familiar enough. But oi, does it take a rocky path in getting there. Campaign mode, Lockout. Shows they have a whole slideshow of different photos you can look through on this article, I guess. And I'll probably put a link to this article in the description down below as well if you want to check out the article yourself. I'll continue reading. While we'd always enjoyed the bits of humanity, bravado, and heart tucked into the firefights of past Halo games, we were taken aback by just how well Halo 4's campaign pumped genuine emotion into the franchise. That explosive 2012 quest hinged on the peculiar relationship between a stoic, silent Master Chief and a deteriorating, suffering Cortana. Those extreme opposite personalities bounced off each other nicely. This time around, the plot is a little more crowded by default. Halo 5 stars 4 distinct heroes at all times. A third of the game puts players in control of Chief's fighting foursome, but the majority features a squad led by a similar Jersey Spartan named Spartan Locke, tasked with a mission of tracking down and arresting Chief since he's gone off the grid. If you play by yourself, you'll control either Chief or Locke, and have 3 AI-controlled squad mates at all times. Party up with 3 other friends via Xbox Live, and they'll control the squad's other soldiers. Where Halo 4 shined by paring down and narrowing its plot focus on the Chief-Cortana relationship, Halo 5 suffers from a bewildering amount of sprawl and confusion. It's not just that the plot jumps around in time and location by following both Chief and Locke's separate, barely entwined quests. The already strained feeling of continuity, continuity and cohesion suffers further with some plots that land abruptly and without warning, like the series' orbital insertion pods. Why are we rescue Dr. Halsey? Why should we care about the angry denizens of a military outpost when they whine at us with barely any backstory? How did we wind up in the middle of an out-of-nowhere civil war between Covenant creatures? We also walked away from Halo 5 by remembering nothing personality-wise about any of the 8 lead characters. Well, Buck is an exception, though only because his voice actor, Firefly and Castle star Nathan Fillion, instilled humor and life into his ho-hum script by brute acting force. Even in his case, we're told nothing about how he rose from trooper in Halo 3 ODST to full-on Spartan, let alone any other decent backstory context for anybody else. A new villain known as the Warden picks up a ton of slack with a monstrous vocal performance, full of the kind of brutal teasing and emotional manipulation you want in a grandoso action film's lead baddie. Cortana's return, however, is dogged by a total lack of believability, saying more would spoil her plot line. But in short, or sloppy, set written lines won't fool anybody. Most of the game's voice acting comes from Locke, and the blame for his forgettable turn as a lead hero, which must be split equally between too rigid dialogue and styled acting. The game's eagerness to squish a zillion plots together, all while failing to write a single decent lead character, isn't the kind of thing players can just press A to skip. The game contains too many long, controllable, and unskippable stretches in which players do nothing but wander around without threat and hear confusing plot. In particular, the game contains 3 whole missions whose sole goals are to run around semi-open towns, navigate to waypoints, and talk to a few people. Yet even these momentum-crushing scenes fail to clarify the confusion. We also really disliked the game's placement of countless terminals at the edges of the campaign's maps. They were a pain to find and offered little payoff for the effort. These terminals are full of brief, unclear, and often flavorless dialogue that hinted to some other backstory, which, like a lot of the rest of the game, seemed to demand that players be familiar with the series' wealth of miniseries, books, and other stories. We mostly felt teased and probed by this plot drip device. It was constantly berating for us not being big enough Halo fans. Fight? Nah, just gotta keep running. Whether you tear through Halo 5 solo or with friends, you'll encounter a few giant, adrenaline-pumping firefights that rank among the series' best. You'll bounce from Mantis mech suits to turret-loaded Warthog trucks that dismount to split some rocket launchers and beam rifles among squad mates while flanking and advancing on giant battlefields. The game has few remarkable new gadgets. The most notable are a new kind of sniper rifle that shoots a few steady if brief laser beams, as opposed to single bullets, and a particular grenade launcher that shoots hard to aim, bouncing explosions that don't explode on contact, but do travel quite a long ways. There's not much in the way of new baddies, with the welcome exception of new humanoid fighters and the robotic Forerunner army who employ speed and powerful weaponry to mix up player battle strategies. Ultimately, 343 industry seemed less interested in putting new tech on the battlefield than they did using new tech to render the battlefield. The game's circular battlegrounds of old, ripe for flanking, are still here. You will find fewer of those and more lengthy stretches in which the game's view distance goes on and on. There's a wonderful showcase for 343's killer art team, who have drawn up alien outposts, river-kissed forest wetlands, and carved mountains that stretch on as far as the eye can see. Even better, these colorful, shadow-drenched locations are full of beautiful lighting, foliage, and particle effects. So everything up close looks as striking as everything in the distance. This all runs at a mostly 60 frames per second refresh. But the game pays for that speed, and speed with some apparent sub 1080p resolutions at times, and some jagged edges born from every ineffective anti-aliasing methods. Still, we thought the speed for fidelity trade-off was more than worth it. To clarify, the newer style of missions in question aren't like the old drive a giant tank across a long bridge Halo missions. Rather, they're full of crisscrossing paths with stop, aim, and flank clog points that sometimes make the most of vertical and vertically accurate designs. Ledges, cliffs, and structures can be climbed up with the game's new grapple ability, which lets players grab onto previously unreachable edges and pull themselves up. Halo 5 also introduces a new button tap option to find the location of the next objective. This was a necessary addition. Even though the game's level designs, beautiful as they are, were far too busy and detailed to focus players' attention on clear paths to their next objective. In the case of these long corridor battles, we also often found that simply running past every single bad guy was a viable strategy, and not even in a clever, I found an alternate hidden pathway. Instead, we just hammered the sprint button along with the new boost dash maneuver called the Spartan Supercharge. The Spartan Charge is what it's called. It often squeaked by with a trickle of shield remaining even on harder difficulties. The game also seems obsessed with getting players to use the new boost melee power, which can be used to crack open hidden doors that are all over the place and don't look hidden at all. The long stretching missions are full of them. They're often the most clever designed portion of a given battle, which is a bummer. These encourage players to simply crawl upon outer walls until finding the appropriate door, then boost melee through to find tide-turning weapons. We take significant issue with a new tweak to both solo and co-op modes. The game allows a form of unlimited respawning by letting any surviving squad mates run to your armor-locked body to revive you within a short time window. This drastically changes the flow and strategy of single-player Halo 5. Now, players can rush into a frantic scene, drop some grenades and heavy weapon blasts, and clear out enough enemies for an AI squadmate can run to your body and bring you back without themselves getting shot to death. It's one thing for a game to reduce frustration and repetition, but we think this all too drastic changes the core feeling of how players approach firefights. Would have preferred a limited number of AI-assisted respawns, or a co-op version where 10 players had to wait for their squad mates to reach a checkpoint before coming back. This sour taste isn't helped by how stupid your AI squad mates are, except to watch them frequently run into the middle of the battlefield to their idiotic deaths, or worse, mill about behind you as if they're scared to fight. In short, the plot kinda stinks, and the 10-hour co-op campaign has too many momentum stoppers and head-scratching changes. Together, this gives us pause about recommending it so heartily. We still really enjoyed the campaign's peaks and valleys, but in our dream world, 343 Industries would patch out the run past to win conditions and make a no plot playlist for co-op buddies to have a more explosive campaign experience. Breakout is a breakout. There's a bunch of pictures of Breakout and the multiplayer pictures. Even with all of these complaints about the campaign, we're still somehow very close to putting this game in Xbox One's most owned list. That's because of a multiplayer experience that, at least in the game's pre-launch test period, felt as tight and focused as it did diverse and sprawling. Can we say? Anyway, the best aspect may be the game's new control system tweaks, which we wrote about at length before the sequel's first multiplayer beta launched last year. We're impressed not just by the breadth of new maneuvers, but how neatly they fit into an already crowded Xbox One controller's button map. So those moves are all full and effective. A running shoulder charge that either kills foes or knocks them back. A ground pound that offers some fun death from above attack potential. A mid-air float that lets players, however, anywhere for a few seconds, so long as they're holding down the aim button. A clamber that can be used to pull yourself up to any touchable ledge. A directional dash that takes a moment to recharge a running slide. We were pretty disappointed to find so few opportunities in the campaign to make use of these new moves, and we think that's because they were mostly built with multiplayer in mind. The ground pound, for example, is a mess in campaign mode. Players wind up being vulnerable to other more distant bounties once they've dropped from a nice sniping perch to punch foes below. And the directional dash rarely proved as effective as the intensive move in the campaign, is simply hiding behind cover. That's a completely different story in online multiplayer, especially the game's arena mode, which offers a highly distilled version of traditional 4-on-4 team battling. This mode launches with its own set of maps, all of which max out at 8 players and leave no room for the game's vehicles, not even tiny mongeese. As a result, arena fights hinge much more on how well players adopt and adapt to such speedy new maneuvers. Our arena fights offered some of the biggest thrills we'd seen in a console shooter in some time. Dash to dodge a railgun blast, then pick up that foe off before hover jumping over a ledge to air snipe a foe on the other side of the map. But watch out in case some jerk tries to ground pound you from above. This article shows pictures of arena as well. That sensation was only made more intense by the new Breakout mode, which has each team have 4 spawn on either side of a particular tight symmetrical map and battle until only one team is standing. And you do it all again until one team wins enough rounds. There's a time limit, and there's also a flag in the middle, meaning players can't get away with sulking around and hiding to win these encounters. Each round kicks off with both sides running at each other, and that sense of urgency tends to keep up. Microsoft has not been shy about its esports aspirations for this mode in particular, and thanks to the adrenaline-loaded teamwork we played through so far, we're just about ready to drink that inspirational Kool-Aid. Arena doesn't otherwise have particularly crazy battle types just yet. The preview period mostly rotated between Breakout, straight-up team deathmatch, and a territory claiming empire mode. We should point out that even Arena's more basic battles shine thanks to a mix of smart computer-generated chatter, so that you can find out what teammates are doing even if they don't wear headsets. An intriguing new weapon is about to spawn once that pops on the map on occasion. The latter does a good job sending everyone rushing toward the next upcoming rocket launcher. Card hunter. It shows pictures of Warzone out of this article as well. Of course, the vehicles are still here. What kind of Halo game would rob us of our Ghost and Mantises? They've been cordoned off into a separate mode dedicated to big team battles called Warzone, with which raises the body count up to 12 on 12. Team combat and synergizes ideas from other big team multiplayer battle games of the past few years. In this mode, teams face off on the series' biggest maps yet. Even a giant landscape dotted with a series of intricate multi-story military outposts. Teams start at opposite ends of these landscapes while controlling a major base, and they accumulate points by taking over neutral territories between the two bases or by defeating computer-controlled baddies and bosses to reach 1,000 points first, and your team wins. Though teams can also invade opposing bases if they control enough neutral territories at any point in the match. At that point, a team can also blow up the opposition's core to win instantly. We really like the enormity of these maps, clearly bolstered by the Xbox One's processing power. We also appreciate not only the number of paths players can take, whether on foot or in a giant tank, to raid a foe's territory, but also the peppering of point-earning bosses across maps as an alternate MOBA-styled path to acclimating points and growing more powerful. These computer-controlled baddies even offer an interesting battle situation when opposing teams try to fight the same bad guy. As the only team who claims the points and power is the one who lands the killing blow. It makes so much more sense for the Halo universe to add this tweak to a big field battle than a series like Battlefield. The most peculiar thing about this mode, and one that we are sure will generate controversy, is its requisitions system, which doles out better weapons, items, and vehicles. Players start each Warzone match holding nothing more than a battle rifle and a pistol. As battle progresses and players accumulate points for their team, each team member's requisition number goes up. These points generally grow in a shared pool. Though we found some players got to higher numbers and any bit faster than others, perhaps because they landed the final blow in critical situations. It shows pictures of the requisitions as well. Once your number is high enough, you can spend both the requisition points and burn through one of the cards in a deck. These aren't cards you're randomly given at the beginning of a battle. Rather, the game doles out currency after each match of both Arena and Warzone based on your personal performance, and you use those points to buy packs of random cards. Many of these become basic stuff you can use in a Warzone match, like a Warthog card or a rocket launcher card. Others offer customization options, like helmets and armor sets. A Warzone card use example. You've been holding onto your requisition points for a while, and you've finally ordered 6 out of a possible 8, but either responding or detouring to a controlled territory. A player can spend those points, which continue accumulate during a lengthy match, to permanently destroy one of your many item cards. The better the item, the more requisition points It requires to spend it during battle. Maybe you'll spend all 6 points at that moment to generate a fuel rod cannon. Or maybe you'll only spend 3 to use one of your ghost vehicle cards. Either way, the card in question is toast. It's not toast. I'm still here. I'm still here, guys and girls. But there's one other card type, the loadout. This kind of card offers a permanent unlock of a souped-up rifle or other standard issue weapon, often with damage or zoom bonuses that has a requisition level attached, meaning once players reach a requisition number during a match, they can respawn and go to the loadout tab to have a different and often better default weapon for the rest of the match without having to get rid of the associated card. There's a lot to take in. We need a few days to wrap up our heads around how the changes worked in action, and we're ultimately not very fond of it. In particular, we found that when a match was pretty much decided thanks to either side taking a commanding lead, so we made sure not to spend any of those cards and not waste them. This is essentially the card-driven version of typing GG. We racked up the necessary points to buy new card packs pretty quickly at least, but we never unlocked tried and true goodies such as energy swords or Phaeton tanks. We'd also be terrified to spend those cards in battle if we ever did, knowing how rarely they pop up, and hating the idea that we wasted good items by getting killed too quickly. Loads of online multiplayer games have tried very different weapon accumulation systems in recent years, and we've always been partially to the Halo franchise's choice not to attach new weapons to experience point systems a la Call of Duty. Those days are done. At least in Warzone mode. Should you want that mode's full variety of powerful weapons you'll need to grind for, or eventually spend money on cards. In our dream world, 343 Industries will hear players complain and cry out and find a way to balance this out. Perhaps by driving every player 5 free cards that expire at the end of the match. That plus players can own stocks, have easy to accumulate cards, but balance gameplay a little more, giving even losing players something to spin in a pinch, so as to catering to the kind of player who likes the thrill of earning new cards and getting a fun surprise with every pack. Dedicated servers, at least, we hope. We had we had to eat humble pie after the last major Halo release, the Master Chief Collection, and the Anthology, when we put a lot of badly placed faith into Microsoft server proficiency. To quote ourselves, we're pretty sure Microsoft has its Xbox Live chops down to make sure all 4 games in the Anthology's online mode will run just fine come launch day and beyond. Clearly, that confidence didn't pay off as much as we'd hoped. The online matchmaking situation was so dire. Microsoft gave away remastered digital copies of Halo 3 ODST to all launch season buyers As a makeup attempt, the company has also said promised, and we won't be fooled again. But we're going to hold our breath until we see how a major change to the series matchmaking will play out once the service goes live to millions. Dedicated servers. All matches, even custom games between friends, must connect to a dedicated central server before they launch. Ideally, that will result in match-made games, having no latency advantage for the host player. In our brief experience, we rarely ran into laggy players, or at least we took comfort in the fact that others saw the same lag we did, so they didn't enjoy any sort of host-specific benefit. We hope beyond hope that this time Microsoft keeps its servers in working order to support the expected glut of players when the game debuts. We'll update this portion of the review should anything particular awful play out in either arena or Warzone modes. In bad Halo 5 news, none of the multiplayer modes support split screen play or LAN play. If you want to play split screen Halo on Xbox One, you'll have to stick with the Master Chief collection. For now, the game is also incomplete due to 2 free add-ons that will reach players throughout the next calendar year. The series' long-standing Forge put up your own arena mode due to launch in December, and a set of over 15 free multiplayer maps by July of next year. Though we don't know for sure if the game will eventually see any paid DLC add-ons. Currently, there's still a lot of Halo 5 to love, and just about as much to raise our eyebrows at, but the multiplayer is the winner here. Even Warzone's card collecting gimmick hasn't stopped us from loving the series. Biggest battles yet. Our experiences in Arena have ranged from solid, standard Spartan classing to some of the most eye-bulging fun we've had dueling on Xbox Live in years. The good. New maneuvers add impressive speed and excitement to the tired and true Halo formula. Arena multiplayer blew us away with some of the best online shooter duels we've played in years. Warzone's giant maps, boss battles, and mix of vehicle and on-foot combat are, in most ways, a satisfying answer to Battlefield style combat. The bad. Confusing, unclear plot, and bad character development jam-up campaign. Too many campaign battles can be beaten by either dashing through it or relying on easy respawns. Spartan Ops hasn't been replaced, leaving a gap in the game's co-op offerings. Warzone's reliance on currency makes some card spending situations feel really fun. It's really unfun. The ugly. It's 2015. Why can't we have AI squad mates so don't dash to their deaths on a regular basis? Verdict, come for the multiplayer, stay for the multiplayer. Reader comments 130. Sam Makovic / Sam has written about video games on and off since his first syndicated column launched in 1996. He can regularly be found playing pinball at a ball in Seattle, Washington. At Sam Red on Twitter. And of course, you can share it on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, and Reddit. And that is it for that article for today. And it's it for the video. And I really did enjoy that article. And they're totally wrong. I liked everything about this game. It's a pretty awesome game, and I just wish there were. I can't wait for all the DLC to come out. And yes, the DLC is all free for Halo, and I'm a huge Halo fan as always. And I will continue loving Halo until I'm very old. And I gotta go now, so like always, please rate, comment, like, favorite, subscribe, thoughts, and opinions. I hope you liked it and enjoyed it for your viewing pleasure. Guys and girls, stay tuned for more. Guys and girls. And I hope that you will continue watching these discussion videos. And please drink some hot chocolate. And I'll see you all later. And it is Aaron Halo 18, of course. And I'll see you in the next video. Alright, okay, goodbye. And also, and subscribe, please. Alright, bye.